This is game 3 of Prep Test 75, the June 2015 LSAT. Looking at the basic setup, we might think that this is just going to be a regular linear game where we have 6 different slots and we've got to put everything in there. The exception, this is going to have a small added twist that 2 are going to go on Saturday. But in fact, just taking a quick peek at the rules, I'm not going to draw this out quite yet because it seems like there's a lot of ordering going on. I think some prep companies call this sequencing or relative ordering or relational ordering. I call it pure linear. It doesn't matter. You just have to know how to work with these types of rules. Rule 1 is telling us that H has to go before L. Rule 2 can be put right in there as well. We know that H and M have to go before G. We can go ahead and throw Rule 3 up there. F is before K and M. Rule 4 is going to put the K before the Z. Rule 5 is interesting. Essentially what it's telling us that if L is not on Saturday, then we have to have L before F. So if L is not on Saturday, then L is going to go before F. Another thing to mention is that obviously the contrapositive here is just going to be the reverse of the consequent above, which is going to be F before L. Then we're going to have L on Saturday. Now this actually gives us the opportunity for frames, where we can make a frame around L on Saturday and then L not on Saturday. So let's start by putting L on Saturday. If we put L on Saturday, then these rules are irrelevant because the only trigger here is L not on Saturday. If we put L on Saturday, we don't have a trigger. Rule 5 doesn't come into effect. All we're going to do is just recreate the diagram respecting all the relations and just noting that L is going to be on Saturday with one other thing. One thing to note is that only Z or G can go last. Any other variable cannot go on a Saturday, cannot go last with the L because they all have something after that and that would be crowded out. I wouldn't mark that though, it seems overkill. Just by looking at the diagram it should be obvious. Frame 2 is where things get interesting. Now we are going to put the L somewhere other than Saturday. Then we know that the L has got to go before the F. And so what we're going to have now is we're going to recreate our initial diagram respecting that new rule. So if the L has to go before the F, we could also see that the H also has to go before the F. As you see, H has to go before L. If L has to go before F, and we know that H has to go before L, then obviously we combine them just like we combine other rules in our main diagram. We're going to have an HLF in our new diagram. So all we're doing is removing this HL block. We're going to move it here in front of the F. But think about what we now have here. Did you pick up on that? That we now have the first 3 in place for frame number 2. So let's go ahead and draw that into our diagram for frame 2. With those frames in place, we're ready to attack the questions. Starting with rule 1, we see that E violates rule 1. We need H before L, but E puts L before H. There is not a violation of rule 2. We're going to look at rule 3, and C violates rule 3. We need F before K and M, and that's putting K before F. Moving on to rule 4, we see that rule 4 is violated by D. We need K before Z, that's putting Z before K. Finally, rule 5 is violated by B. We know that if L is not on Saturday, then we need L before F. In B, L is not on Saturday, but it has F before L. A is our answer. We're asked which can't be Tuesday. In other words, it's asking us what cannot be second. And if I were doing this in real time, it would be a quick scan through the answer choices and seeing if anything immediately popped out. And for me, that's going to be Z, just by eyeballing the frames. We see that Z has 2 things before it in frame 1, meaning the earliest it could go is Wednesday. In frame 2, Z has at least 4 things before it, making it only capable of going in Friday or Saturday. So easy is going to be our answer. Just a very quick look through the other answer choices. Can F be on Tuesday? Sure. What we could do is we could put the H on Monday. We're looking at frame 1, and then we'll just go ahead and put the F on Tuesday. B, can H be on Tuesday? Sure. Just looking at frame 1, we'll put the F on Monday and the H on Tuesday. Looking at C, can K be on Tuesday? Sure. Still sticking with frame 1, we're going to put the F Monday, we're going to put the K Tuesday. D, can M be on Tuesday? Sure. Let's go ahead and stick with frame 1. We're going to put the F on Monday, we're going to put the M on Tuesday. 14 is putting K before M. And then we want to know which of the following cannot be true. So just looking at frame 1 first, what we're going to have here is we're going to have that K going before the M. Frame 2, same deal. Which of the following cannot be true? Answer choice A, can F be before L? Yeah, sure. Because we know that either frame 1, or frame 2 is going to work. And in frame 1, we've got the F before the L. So A is possible. That's not the right answer. We're looking for what's impossible. B, G is before K. Can we have G before K? Well, no, we can't. In frame 1, we know that we have the K before the M, obviously, but the M has to go before the G. Frame 2, we have the K before the M, and then we have the M before the G. So B is going to be our correct answer. Just going through the other answer choices real quickly. Can G be before Z? Well, sure. If we look just quickly at frame 1, we see that G and Z have no relationship, and therefore either could go before the M. Quick look at D. Can H be before K? Well, sure. We see up front in frame 1 that H and K don't have any relationship with each other, so H can go before the K. Finally, E, can Z be before M? Sure. Looking to frame 1, we see that the M and Z don't have any immediate relation. And by the way, I actually redrew the scenarios on here just because I'm doing it on screen. I showed you how to manipulate frame 1 and 2. If you could do it in your head, that's cool. But this is actually what I had drawn out. For frame 1, I had it drawn out like this. And for frame 2, I had it drawn out like this. Question 15 is putting Z on Thursday. Take a quick look at frame 2. Z can't go on Thursday in frame 2. That's because Z has 4 things before it, minimum. So the earliest Z could go is actually going to be Friday. Z is restricted to Friday and Saturday here. So frame 2 is out for this one. Since we're dealing with only frame 1, and we want to know what must be true, well, the only thing we know that must be true is that L has to go on Saturday. Remember that the differentiation between frame 1 and frame 2 is just the rule based around the L on Saturday and the L and F. So off the bat, I have a pretty good feeling that whatever the answer choice is, it's going to touch on that relationship between the F and the L. And just looking at the answer choices, A is going to be our answer. We know that F has got to go before L in frame 1. You can go ahead and try out the remaining possibilities yourselves. 16 is putting M on Tuesday. We can see off the bat that frame 2 is out because at least 3 things have to go before M. The earliest M can go is going to be on Thursday. Frame 2 is out. And because this is a must be true question, and the only thing that we know must be true about frame 1 involves the L, that's sort of the first place I'm going to be looking. And true enough, if we look at C, L is on Saturday. Yeah, we've known that. This seems to be a frequent theme here. As you can see, this is why I love frames. You could go ahead and just test out the remaining possibilities and see why they don't necessarily have to be true. We're going to move on to the next question. Question 17 puts F before H. So we know off the bat that frame 2 is going to be out because that puts the H before the F. And we can't have that. We're told that F has to go before H. So frame 2 is going to be out. We're dealing with frame 1. Answer choice A. Does it have to be true that H goes before K? Well, no. As we can see, there's no relationship between the two of these. A is going to be out. B, does H have to be before Z? Again, no relationship between these two. C, does K have to be before M? Again, variables that don't have a relationship. D, does M have to be before L? Well, yeah, that actually, it has to be true. Because think about it. We know that the M has to go before the G. So can we put M and L together? Because obviously there's nothing after L. So the question is, can M and L go together? Well, no. Because that's going to be crowding out the G. And we can't have that. So M and L cannot go together. M must go before L. D is going to be our answer. And just real quick, does M have to be before Z? No. There's no relationship. Question 18. Everyone hates these. I don't. I think they're not so bad. What 18 wants to know is if we're replacing the rule that F has to go before K and M, what's going to allow us to have the same scenario? So all the rules are going to remain intact. It's just that we're going to replace one rule with another rule to have all the same possibilities available to us. We got to go through the answer choices for these. For A, that doesn't really address the relationship between the F and the K and M. We don't know anything about the K and the M at this point. So A is going to be out. B, only F or H can be on Monday. Well, again, that's not really addressing the K and the M. C, only H and L can go earlier than F. Well, yeah, that actually does address what we have going on here. Because if only H and L can go earlier than F, then we know that These are the possibilities of going earlier than F, which means that everything else has to come after F. That accounts for the M and the K. D doesn't account for M, and E doesn't account for K.